Like a lot of you, my dad had that odd sensation of falling backward, especially when he was standing. Sometimes when he was walking as well, and it kind of affected his balance. And we ended up with some ideas. First, of course, we had to eliminate, was it blood pressure or maybe an inner ear infection, because just because you've got Parkinson's doesn't mean that you couldn't have a blood pressure or inner ear problem. If you have that sensation of falling backwards, I have some ideas for you, and the very first one is going to be shoes. With Parkinson's, one of the first things you think about as your bradykinesia or slow moving or stiff moving happens is, if I have a sturdy shoe, it's going to keep me from falling. That's kind of backward thinking in a lot of ways. If you have a shoe that is so sturdy that it doesn't wiggle, it doesn't bend. I'm trying to twist this one. I'm not twisting it much. This is very stiff, and the front of it is also it just doesn't want to move. I can't move it, and worse yet, I'm not able to move it up and down. What happens when you put a shoe like this on is that it leads to a plodding. You know that you aren't going to hit the heel and roll off the toe because there's no flex in the thing. So you tend to put your foot down flat and you think that's stable. What's also happening is that the leg is beginning to lift up and step it down this way in a natural fashion, and you're going to deteriorate a lot of the muscles that are in the lower leg area and in the foot, because it's reliant on the shoe to move you forward rather than reliant on the body. So instead of the Frankenstein plodding shoe, let's look for a shoe like this instead, that the back of the shoe doesn't wiggle. This is called the counter, and for runners, for walkers, for just about everybody, you don't want that counter to move. I'm trying to push it forward and back. Not up here. That can wiggle back and forth a little bit. But when you put your fingers on either side just above the sole, that shouldn't move back and forth. But there should be a little bit of flexibility when I try and twist it, and a lot of flexibility here. Because this way, as you're walking, instead of putting the foot down like we were with the other shoe, we're putting our foot down, rolling forward, and it's bending, flexing, and allowing us to move forward. Now, when you're looking for a shoe like this, one of the real important things is that you want the heel a ½ inch higher than the toes. But don't look at the outside of the shoe for this. Instead, put your hand in the shoe and slide it forward. See if there is a rise in that shoe. And make sure that that is not a flat, what they call skateboard type shoe. Now, some shoes, the counter is really wiggly. I can put my fingers on either side of this counter and I can really move it around. I can even squish it. So that would obviously not be a good shoe. And real obvious, flip-flops are not a good choice. Even an athletic shoe, but if it doesn't have a back, it doesn't give you that heel support, so you want to eliminate that one as well. Something that has absolutely no support at all is not a good choice of shoe unless, and this is a dance shoe, you're using this shoe in a very limited fashion to do some of your exercises, and you want that flexibility because you want to really move the foot and exercise the foot, the ankle, and the lower legs. I never cease to be amazed at how many people like to live in their slippers. Yes, they're warm, but if you have a movement problem, if you're having problems and you're shuffling, heck, everybody shuffles in a pair of slippers. They keep your feet warm, but other than that, they're just real shuffly type shoes. But everybody seems to be in them. I go and visit people who have Parkinson's, and there they are in these shoes. Gee, Cheryl, I just can't seem to do my exercises right. Well, I think that we've got some answers here. Let's not be in the slippers during the day. Let's be in real shoes so that you can move around quickly. I'll be showing you some exercises here in just a minute. With content like this, I don't see how this video can do anything but go viral. One of the things we really need to concentrate on with balance is actually muscle balance in order to have body balance. That means that we want the fronts of the legs and the fronts of the feet to become shortened and stronger, because we almost never use these muscles here. We use these back here. They're usually quite strong, and on the bottom of the feet, unless we've been inside of those stiff shoes. One of the easiest things that you can do is simply be seated and pull your toes up. And pull your toes up. And pull your toes up. You can rock those back and forth and go back and forth with it, up and down and back and forth. You're actually going to feel the muscles work. This works these muscles here. Once you start adding this rocking, you're going to actually feel it right in here. And that's working a little bit different muscle down in here as well. And you get to be sitting in the lazy boy. I have a little blurb about heel walking that I'd like you to see. Heel walking is just like it sounds. You're going to have your feet down and you're going to bring your toes up and you walk around on your heels. Now you'll see that I have my hand right here hanging on to something for balance, because if you're already unbalanced, heel walking is not the easiest thing. It's nice if you can get somebody to help you with your heel walking so that you can walk in a straight line, that you could have somebody hang on to you and you can go in a straight line. But if you want to do this alone, just heel walking like this will work pretty well. What happens, it shortens this muscle here in order to help lengthen the backs of the legs. And with that, that's going to help with that muscle balance. So, up with the toes and take a little bit of a walk. Now we're back and we're going to be promoting some flexibility. We're going to do some circles, ankle circles with our feet. When you do these, I want you to be barefoot, or you can wear some socks if you want to. But in your shoes, you're probably not going to be able to roll those feet around as much as you can with no shoes on. And you can see I'm pretty darn flexible. You may only have this much, and you may be very slow, and you can go in both directions however you'd like to. But do them, and just do a few of them, and keep adding a few more every time that you watch TV or sit and read a book. And you're going to not only strengthen the lower part of your legs, and especially down in this part of the ankles, but you're going to create a lot more flexibility overall. Then we want to be flexible in here and really curling and pulling the toes back and curling, not pulling them back this way, but just curling the toes themselves is a real good flexibility exercise. Again, it's going to work some muscles that you may not have been working, including when you pull your toes up like this, you're going to be stretching behind those toes, and you're going to be actually shortening the muscles. And if you remember right, this is where we want to balance. We want to balance what they call on the toes, but it's really the ball of the foot, and the toes have to accommodate the ball of the foot in order to go up. So these are great overall exercises. We'll be moving right along. Trying to get myself in this whole camera range is kind of tough sometimes, but I'm going to get it done here. We're going to practice turning on the toes, going up to a blank wall or a closed door. Make sure it's latched when you close it. I'm going to use this, which is not what I want you to use because this wiggles, and I want you to use something solid. What we're going to do is walk up to a wall, and then we're going to do a tippy-toe turn. And that'll keep you from turning on those heels. So it'd be walking up to a wall, and then up on your toes, and do a tippy-toe turn, and then walk away. Next, do it again. Stop, put both feet there, up on the toes, turn the other direction. and then walk away. Practice doing that several different times. That little tiny kind of a chattering step or a stuttering step this way, because it's making your brain begin to think just a little differently about the turn. After you're feeling pretty comfortable with that, like maybe 3-4 turns in each direction, I'd like you to walk up to the wall. You may need to place your hands on the wall and just try a natural turn on your toes. Walk away. Walk up to the wall, do a natural turn on your toes, and walk away. I want you to really think about that toes thing. Analyze how you have been turning. Have you been trying to come up to things, and then as you turn, are you rocking back on those heels? If you're rocking back on the heels, that's extremely unbalancing and unnatural. So get up on the toes and practice it over and over again. Now, we're going to have some good posture. We need good posture in order to keep ourselves balanced, because if we're forward, we're unbalanced, and if we're backwards, we're obviously unbalanced. So what can we do just real easily to put the body into good balance? First, crack a walnut between your shoulder blades, because we want the ears over the shoulders, over the hips, over the feet. We can do this, from this to this, and then relax. Now you're upright, but they have you practice a hip tilt too. And sometimes people are like this, or they're a little off. The best way to get ears, shoulders, hips, feet again is that you crack a walnut right between your buttocks. Okay, so watch what happens to my body if I'm just kind of standing and relaxing and I'm not in very good posture. Crack between the shoulder blades, crack between the buttocks. Now look where my body is. I'm immediately upright. Now I can kind of go up on my toes and I feel more balanced. We're going to do a thing called step backs, and you're going to need to have a counter or something for this. And what you're going to do is just take a little bit of a step back and drop the heel of the back foot. Then push off of the back foot and onto the front foot. Now I'm going to lift my foot, showing you what I'm doing here. I'm going forward, and then all of my weight is on my front foot. What I want you to do is practice rocking back and forth and going up on the ball of your foot, of the front foot, so that you practice how that feels. And of course you're going to have to do it on both sides. So you'll do the rock, pushing and rocking, and you'll notice the heel goes down and back, then it comes up, and that pushes me forward. That's a natural motion. If you've been plodding around in those stiff shoes and you're doing this, you turn like this. You don't come forward in a natural motion with that lifted foot and turn. You plod into it. There's nothing that allows you to do the push. So when you start walking more naturally, you have a little bit longer stride, and then that back foot will push you onto the front foot, allowing you to do the spins and things a little bit more comfortably. Let's hope that this has helped you in your falling backward feeling, or even in your balance and practicing turning. I can't emphasize enough how practice makes perfect with Parkinson's. Join me on Facebook. My pages are always open to all. I have lots of notes with Parkinson's specific exercises.